like, I don't know if you feel this way too, but living in an age and doing business at a time where there are so many different channels and so many different platforms and so many different ways to market your business, it can feel like there's a lot of pressure to be everywhere online and to be everywhere online all of the time. And so when we don't see the results we want to see, or we don't see the sales, or when people say no, or when people, say like not nice things to you or about you, it's so hard not to take that personally. But for me, what has really been helpful is changing my mindset about what people are saying no to. So let's kind of look at it from the standpoint of, a business service provider is talking about their services on Instagram, and you're showing up and you're talking about the incredible work that you do, the incredible kinds of clients that you serve, and the kind of transformation or growth or results that your work delivers. When people work with you, that's the kind of growth that they're going to be able to see. When people say no to that, or when people don't click through to your website or sign up for your email list or book a free consult call with you or buy from you, instead of looking at that and thinking they're saying no to me, like they're saying no to me as like the service provider behind this brand, instead shift your attention to they're saying no to the transformation that my work provides. Because really, when we think about marketing, even if we do have a personal brand, and I would consider that I have a personal brand, I'm very much the face of my brand. But when people are saying no, if I hop on a sales call with a potential branding client and it doesn't end up being the best fit, I do not take that personally anymore, because I have focused my messaging around the work that I do and the transformation that it provides to my ideal client. And so at this point, if someone is saying no, they're taking a look at that messaging and they're saying, that's nice, but it's not quite for me. And that's the beautiful thing about doing business in an open market, where there's so many other options and so many other designers or photographers or coaches or service providers out there for all different kinds of clients. So I know that, and this is kind of like almost like a muscle that you have to like build up and strengthen over time, right, where it's probably not going to be an instantaneous transition of, okay, I'm not going to take it personally overnight, but slowly remind yourself, kind of build up that association in your mind that when people aren't connecting with you, or when people aren't connecting with the services that you offer, it's not because they don't like you, it's because something about your messaging doesn't resonate. And so it's an opportunity to look at your messaging and say, okay, how is this communicating the level of service that I offer, the transformation that that service provides, and who this is for? So how this connects to my ideal client. And if your messaging isn't covering those pieces, it honestly might just be there's a level of confusion in your ideal clients when they come across your work, or they come across your content on Instagram or wherever you're hanging out. They're just not getting the full picture. And so it's just, it's definitely, from my standpoint, it's not something to take personally. It's something to, kind of remind ourselves, it's not you, it's your messaging. And then if it's your messaging, that's amazing, because that's an opportunity for growth.
Gosh, that shift in perspective was mind-blowing for me. And now I am like, my wheels are turning for my own business. So now we're like talking a little bit more about brand strategy and your business. So, we have listeners who are new business owners, and then also people who are seasoned. But what are some of your top tips on creating a good, solid brand strategy?
I love that you have people tuning in who are in different seasons of business. And I think that with brand strategy, something that I like to remind my clients who've been in business for years and who are seasoned pros, there's no substitute for a strong foundation, especially when it comes to your brand strategy and your brand as a whole. So even if you've been in business for 10, 15 years, there's something so powerful about getting back to the basics of brand strategy and ensuring that as your business grows, it's growing in a direction that aligns with how you're defining success, what your values are, what your differentiators are, who your ideal clients are, and kind of like I said earlier, that transformation, that growth or that kind of benefit that your services or your products offer to those ideal clients. So whether you're just getting started or you've been in business for years, I always recommend kind of breaking things down into the basics. And this is something that can seem like a little counterintuitive, because a lot of the time when we think about branding, we think more about the design side of things. So we think about logos, color palettes, websites, all the beautiful things. But as a strategist, before I get to that design portion of things with my clients, we first are beginning with strategy so that we're making informed and really strategy-backed design decisions as we get to that point in the branding process. So if you are, kind of going through a little bit of this process by yourself, I recommend taking the time to look at who you are, like from a business standpoint, sitting down and really understanding what your business is, what your business offers. So are you a coach? Are you a photographer? Are you a designer? Are you a lawyer? Who are you in the context of your business? What do you do? So what kind of services do you offer? And then what kind of growth should your ideal clients or ideal customers experience as a result of your services? So if you are a photographer, let's say you're a wedding photographer and your primary service is going to be wedding photography, wedding coverage. So the transformation or the value that your people are going to see as a result of hiring you to capture their wedding and that celebration, maybe it's going to be, they're going to have heirloom quality images that they can treasure for generations to come. Or maybe it's going to be they are able to dive into their wedding day feeling fully present because they don't have to worry about who's capturing those memories and those moments because you, as a photographer, have them covered. So, kind of thinking about who you are, what you do, how your work adds value, the transformation that it offers, and then kind of that final layer, who it's for. So your ideal client. And when you think about your ideal client, I want you to know them so intimately that you could kind of, if you were sitting down over coffee with them, you'd be able to strike up conversations about what they really value, who they are, what kinds of hobbies or, ways they like to spend their time with, or what kinds of priorities they have when it comes to their business or their life. And so when you're thinking about creating who your ideal clients are, it's such a powerful and beautiful opportunity to think through these incredible individuals, whether you are working with other business owners or you are a business and you work, direct to consumers. And so by thinking through those things, I know that, as kind of like a description might seem more like an abstract process, but really what you're doing there is you're identifying more of, what your business is about, the services that you offer, so those potential revenue streams, but you're taking it a step further. You're going even deeper. You're not just looking at kind of the basics of what you do and what you offer, but you're thinking about the transformation, the kind of growth and the kind of results that your ideal clients are going to see if they choose to hire you or they choose to buy from you. And then you're getting really specific about who those ideal clients are. So then you're able to take that and you're able to elevate your messaging on any social platforms. You're able to update like your Instagram bio or the content on your blog, your podcast, any of those kinds of things from a messaging standpoint, because when we think about brand strategy, it's not just design. There's also that messaging component to it as well. But knowing that is going to then help you, whether you partner with a professional designer or maybe you go the DIY route, it's going to help you understand because you know who you are, you know how your work provides a clear transformation, and you know who your ideal clients are, you're able to then pull in design details. And this is especially where a professional can come in and help, but you're able to pull in design details that speak to those people and that really communicate the right message about who you are and what you do. So I always recommend starting with the basics, even if you are a seasoned pro, because as you grow, as your business grows, you gain so much more insight and you gain so much more understanding of who your ideal clients, and you see so much more in action of the incredible results that your work can provide or the incredible transformations that your work is able to deliver to your ideal clients. So even if you've been in business for years, this is something personally, I revisit this frequently in my business because I want to bring more nuance and more understanding and more insight into kind of that initial overview of those incredible people. So I I know more of how I can serve them well and how that can all come together in a way that reflects where I am in that season of business.
What great tips. And we were kind of discussing about this earlier, but if there's anything that you're like, gosh, you got to have this in your life in the legal realm, or you wish you had known this before you started, what would be that?
Contracts. Oh my goodness. Contracts. So important. I say that from, having like started my little scrappy business from my like little teeny apartment in college, from my my college bedroom. I, of course, did not start my business having like a contract in place for the, very first friend that came to me and was like, hey, Bonnie, can you design a logo for me? Like, I didn't think about that. And thankfully, I haven't had any like crazy legal struggles or woes or anything like that. But even just thinking about it from a service standpoint, if you're an entrepreneur, you provide a service to your clients, it is so crucial that you have a contract or an agreement in place before you start working that outlines the project scope. And the reason why, and of course, this is like, I have zero legal experience or training, so like not a lawyer, but but you
experience is everything.
But, thinking about outlining in that client contract the scope of work that you're taking on and what that includes, and then how your client can add on or change that project scope. So it's the reason why I'm such a believer in that, especially if you're a service-based business like I am, is that it's so easy for project kind of scope creep to happen, where we start working with someone and hopefully they love the experience, and they're like, oh, I also want to add on this, and can you do this for me? And can we do this? And as an entrepreneur, you're seeing that and you're like, you want to pay me more money to do more work? Absolutely, let's do it. But it's so important to have that outlined in your contract so that you both, what that does, it just sets those expectations for you as the entrepreneur and the service provider, and then for your client as the recipient of those services, so that you understand what you are obligated to create or what work you're obligated to do as outlined in that agreement. And then on their end, on the receiving end, they know what they can expect and what they're receiving from you. And it's very clear that if they want to make changes or if they want to add on, how they can submit those requests to you, what the investment, if there's an additional investment, what that can look like, so that you are not getting knocked off your timeline, or you're not getting asked to do way more work than you're able to do, or you're, thinking that you're getting asked to do something and you have to do it at a discounted rate or something like that, or you feel, kind of insecure about what that additional investment can look like because that's not outlined in that agreement. So it's kind of a boring clause maybe, but it's a necessary one, because even if you're having the most amazing experience with a client and they want to make changes, it's just so powerful. It's so helpful for you to know and for them to know what those expectations are as outlined in kind of that project scope overview in your contract. And then from there, you have the freedom as the service provider to say yes to those requests, say no to those requests. And you don't have to be like the big bad person who, says no to your client. You can just point back to your contract and say, as outlined in our contract, X, Y, and Z. And I think that it just helps you look so polished, so put together, protects you in so many different ways, serves your client even better because expectations are clearly outlined, and it's just really worth it if you ask me.
Everything you have said is like what I'm constantly preaching also. Just going back to our business though, the tools and the apps and the resources, what are some of your favorite tools, apps, or resources?
Yeah, I use HoneyBook as my CRM or my client relationship management tool. So that's how I handle invoicing, any kind of like client worksheets or questionnaires, timelines, things like that. All of that's in HoneyBook. I also love using Asana for internal project management. So that just helps me and my like small but mighty team stay on the same page of like what we're doing and whose responsibility it is to do what, and just kind of keeps us focused. And then I'm a big Google, like G Suite / Google person. Like I love Gmail, Google Sheets, Google Docs, Google Drive. Yeah, those are some of the tools that I use every day.
Yeah, I think I use them all too every day. So that's wonderful. Yeah. I love Google Doc. I love Google everything. So there you go.
Yes.
Well, how can listeners reach out to you? How can they connect with you?
I am over on Instagram. You can find me at Bonnie Joy Marie is my handle. And I love meeting new people. I love connecting with people. So if you want to shoot me a DM and just say hi, I would love to get to know you. Or if you have a question or something that you want to kind of talk through more based on this interview, would love to get to connect with people in that way. You can find my website at is4bonniedesign.com. And that has my blog, tons of free resources for entrepreneurs, more information about my branding services. And of course, if you find me on Instagram, you can find all the links in my bio there.
I love that. I'm going to have all the links on show notes as well. So you're going to be easily accessible. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. I am just so happy that we were able to have this chat. And you've just shared so much knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was such an amazing conversation.